Good afternoon, everybody. It's James trying to get caught up on the comic Bento reviews. For the February month, it was Amped. First book in there was Put the Book Back on the Shelf, a Belle and Sebastian anthology. Not rated from Image. There are too many artists and writers to list. It's an original graphic novel, 192 pages. Original cover price, because it's an original GN, would be $19.99. Review 1.0. Didn't care for this at all. This was definitely something that if you don't already have a predisposed affinity for Belle and Sebastian's music, this isn't going to be anything that you're interested in. I tried listening to their stuff before and during reading this, and it just didn't really sit with me. It wasn't my style of music. It wasn't going to do anything. So if you're not already into Belle and Sebastian, follow the title. Just put this back on the shelf. Wasn't that good. Moving on to the next book, Death Sentence, which is a mature reader's book from Titan by Monty Nero and Mike Dowling. Reprints Death Sentence 1 through 6, 136 pages, $16.99 price on the volume. Original cover price for those issues would have been $24. Review 6.0. There was a number of things that were kind of derivative about it. I liked the story overall, but definitely the main villain was based upon Russell Brand, and some of the other characters were very similarly, kind of cliche. There we've got a shot of the villain there. So it really wasn't something that I thought was incredibly original. It was a lot of derivative aspects, but there was still a uniqueness to both the art and the story itself that I thought gave it a little bit of a nudge up from having a very negative review. So definitely a middle-of-the-road story. I enjoyed it enough to put it on the shelf for a let's see how I feel about it in a couple months' time. I'm not sure about the rereadability of it, but definitely willing to give it a second go and a little bit after I've let follow for a little while. Third on the month was Edge of Spider-Verse. It is rated T+ from Marvel. Again, whole bunch of people on this one. Mostly not because it was a bunch of short stories like the Belle and Sebastian anthology, but because it is a 5-issue trade. It had a completely different creative team for all 5 issues. Reprints Edge of Spider-Verse 1 through 5, 112 pages, $15.99 cover price on the volume. Original cover price would have been $20. I'm going to give it a 3.5. This isn't something that I really felt like ever needed to be collected. Because it had completely different stories in all 5 issues, there was no storyline that crossed through this the way if it was creative teams from a bunch of different books who had been involved in a crossover of some sort where the story made sense from beginning to end. It was 5 different short stories because it was individual issues, so you weren't really collecting anything other than just saying these are the first 5 issues of this series. It didn't have anything to do with each other. Maybe as the story progressed a little bit further, there was a vague thread of things connecting between the universes that these characters came out of, but I really didn't feel like that was present in this volume, so it really left it very disjointed. The only connection this one had at all with the Amped theme was that Gerard Way had written one of the issues, but that was kind of tenuous at best because it was 1 out of the 5 issues. So overall, not crazy about this one. 3.5 because some of the art was pretty decent. Individual stories were somewhat interesting, but overall, the volume just really didn't do anything for me. Last up for the month is Alice Cooper, Welcome to My Nightmare. It's rated T+ from Dynamite. This is, again, hardcover. Written by Joe Harris and Brandon Jerwa, primarily, with art by Eman Casellos and Nacho Tenorino. I hope I got both of those right. Additionally, this had some work by Alice Cooper, Jim Sellekrip, Roger Stern, Ed Hannigan, Tom Sutton, and Terry Austin. This reprinted Alice Cooper 1 through 6 from Dynamite, which was what the Joe Harris and Brendan Jarrah stuff was, as well as the Marvel premiere number 50 from Marvel way, way back, which is where all those other credits really come from. 168 pages, $24.99 for the hardcover. Original cover price would have been $24.40 as far as literal cover price goes, but probably closer to $28 if you consider that Marvel premiere from way back in the 70s would have been about $4 now. Review 6.0. It was an interesting story. It was a little bit dark, a little bit moody, but imagining Alice Cooper as being both a rock star in the real world and the master of nightmares in some sort of dream world, it's a little bit hard to grasp because he plays in celebrity golf tournaments. When I was growing up, he was somebody that my parents didn't want me listening to because of the stage performances that he did. But I ultimately fell into a music style that was much, much darker, much, much heavier than what Alice Cooper's stuff ever was. So it was kind of hard to buy that there's this secret life with this guy who is a rock star and also plays in golf tournaments. So this is one I'm going to give it some fallow time to see if I really want to keep it. But for right now, it's going on the shelf. Going to keep it, see how that plays out overall. At the end of the year, I might decide to go ahead and let it go, but for now, it's worth keeping. Total box value this month, $78. Pretty decent amount. It's not the highest, not the lowest that I've seen, but it was definitely worth a couple of reads here. So that is it for the February Amped box, and I will be recording the next one here shortly.